For years ago, Jessica walked out of my life like she was stepping off a plane and into first class. She traded our years together for the glitter of some stock market playboy named Brandon, the kind of guy who thinks tipping a valet makes him relatable. I wasn't angry. Not at first. She wanted flash, I wanted real. So I let her go. I spent those 4 years rebuilding. Quietly. No big Instagram posts, no revenge body nonsense. Just me, grinding it out, stacking my business brick by brick. By the time our paths crossed again, I had more than just money. I had peace. But that night, at the banquet, all of that shattered in seconds. The room was packed with money and perfume. Everyone pretending to be more important than they actually were. I came solo, not out of loneliness, but by choice. That night was about celebrating a milestone for my company, not reminiscing about my failed marriage. I was talking to a couple of investors near the bar when I heard her laugh. That laugh. I knew it before I turned around. It always had this sharpness to it, like glass under a silk glove. "Jason," she said, and I looked up. Jessica. Same cascading chestnut hair, same arrogant smirk. Only now wrapped in a designer dress that probably cost more than my first car. Her hand was looped around Brandon's arm like a trophy on display. I smiled, nodded. Not a word. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction. But she couldn't help herself. "Still alone, I see," she purred, cocking her head like a smug cat. Brandon just chuckled like the oblivious golden retriever he probably is. I sipped my drink and smiled. "Not exactly," I said. Then, and I swear to you, I'll never forget this moment. The doors opened, and she walked in. My wife, Rachel. Red dress, black heels, that confident stride that said, "I know exactly who I am." Every head turned. Even the band seemed to miss a beat. But it was Jessica's face that really sold the show. Her eyes widened. Her wine glass trembled. And then she turned pale, the kind of pale that doesn't come from surprise, but fear. Deep, gut-wrenching fear. Because actually, she was her. My wife was Jessica's younger sister. She was the one Jessica always belittled at family dinners. The one she used to call a naive, clingy brat who'd never amount to anything. The one she never thought could stand next to someone like me. The same girl Jessica used to manipulate, bully, gaslight, all while pretending to love her. And now she was my wife. Rachel walked up, kissed me on the cheek with a smile so natural it made everything Jessica did seem forced. "Sorry I'm late, babe," she said, slipping her hand into mine. Traffic was insane. Jessica's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Brandon tried to say something awkward about sisterly love, but she shot him a glare that could peel wallpaper. "Jason, what the hell is this?" Jessica hissed, finally finding her voice. "You married her? You married my sister." I looked her dead in the eye, calm, unapologetic. "Yes, I did. Best decision I ever made." For a split second, the entire room faded. Just me, my wife, and the ghost of a woman who thought she'd always be 2 steps ahead. Jessica looked like someone had ripped the ground from under her. "You did this to get back at me?" she spat, trying to regain control. "You're sick." I laughed. Actually laughed. Not fake. Not forced. "No, Jess. You did that to yourself." Rachel stood there like a silent storm, letting me speak. Her presence said enough. Jessica fumbled for some snarky response, but none came. The queen had no more moves. What she didn't know yet, and what she was about to find out, was that this wasn't the biggest twist of the night. Not even close, because while Jessica stood there, reeling, furious, pretending she still had some shred of power over me, I was about to discover the cruelest irony of all. Rachel, my beautiful, clever, passionate Rachel, wasn't the woman I thought she was either. Not even close. That night wasn't just the night Jessica's smug world collapsed. It was the night mine did too. And it all started when I saw a message flash across Rachel's phone screen from someone saved as Evan G. Fire at 2:14 a.m. 2 nights before. The moment I saw that name, Evan G. Fire, something twisted in my gut. You know that instinct, the one you try to ignore because you don't want to seem paranoid? Yeah, that one came roaring to life. Rachel's phone had been buzzing a lot more lately. Always face down. Always on silent. And I never cared. I trusted her. Hell, I was proud of how independent and driven she was. She ran her own business, traveled for work, knew how to handle herself. But those little things had started stacking up in my head. The sudden late meetings, the quick temper, the way she'd get distant for no reason and then overcompensate with some overly sweet gesture. I'd ignored it, told myself not to be that guy. Insecure, controlling, jealous. But that night, while she was chatting with someone across the room, her phone lit up on the table next to me. The name, the emojis, and the message. Last night was insane. Still thinking about you in that black set, smiling face with horns. My mouth went dry. I stared at the screen like it was written in another language. Last night, black set. My wife had been out of town the night before. Some networking event in Chicago. She'd flown in this morning, kissed me like always, acted like nothing had happened. I didn't even touch the phone. Didn't need to. That message hit harder than a punch. My mind started racing. Had this been going on for weeks? Months? Was it just one guy? How long had she been playing me like this? When Rachel walked back over, laughing, holding 2 glasses of champagne, I swear I almost didn't recognize her. Her smile looked like a mask. Plastic. Fake. I took the glass, stared her right in the eyes, and for a second, just a flicker, I saw something shift in her expression. Like she knew the jig might be up. But she recovered quickly. "You okay?" she asked, touching my arm. I smiled. "Yeah, just remembering something Jessica said." She rolled her eyes. "Ugh, that woman's the worst." I forced a laugh. Inside, my heart was thudding. I kept playing it cool the rest of the evening. Talked to people. Made jokes. Let Rachel think everything was fine. But I was watching her now. Really watching. The way she excused herself to check her phone. How she kept looking around, like she expected someone to show up. And for the first time, I realized Rachel was lying. Not just once. Not just a slip. This was a pattern. Practiced routine. And I hadn't even seen the tip of it yet. That night, after the party, we got home late. Rachel headed to the bathroom. I sat in the bedroom, silent, cold. Her phone was on the nightstand, still locked. But I didn't need it. I already had a plan. The next day, while she was at her yoga class, I drove downtown to a friend of mine, Marcus, private investigator, ex-cop. Real quiet, real thorough. I told him everything. The message, the behavior, my gut. He nodded, serious. "Give me a week." I gave him 2. And what he came back with, photos, time-stamped, location-tagged, made my blood run cold. There she was, Rachel, wrapped up around a man who wasn't me, kissing him outside some hotel in Chicago, arm in arm leaving a dinner spot in LA the week before that, even a weekend in Miami, when she told me she was with her mom in Arizona. Evan, corporate lawyer, tall, sharp jaw, cocky smile, everything she used to say she hated. It wasn't just an affair. It was a full-blown shadow relationship. She'd been living 2 lives, smiling at me in the morning, then flying off to play house with him at night. I sat in my car in the parking lot staring at the photos for a long time. Not crying, not even angry, just empty, hollowed out by the kind of betrayal that doesn't come from a stranger, but from someone who once whispered they'd never hurt you. That I didn't sleep the night I got the photos. I just sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall, while Rachel lay beside me, wrapped up in herself like nothing had happened. The silence in that room was deafening. I kept thinking, how many times had she kissed me right after being with him? How many lies had she served with a sweet tone and a quick peck on the cheek? By sunrise, something inside me had clicked off. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to bury the last piece of what I felt for her and dig up the truth she thought she could keep buried. The next evening, I planned it. I waited for her to come home from her Pilates class, the same routine she always claimed was good for her mental reset. I had everything ready, the photos, the screenshots, even a copy of her hotel invoice from Miami. all of it neatly laid out in a manila folder sitting on the kitchen counter. She walked in humming to herself, holding a smoothie. "Hey babe," she called casual. "Want me to make us some dinner?" I didn't answer. She walked into the kitchen, then froze when she saw the folder. "What's this?" she asked, trying to play dumb. I didn't move, just said, "Open it." She looked at me, then at the folder. Her fingers hesitated. When she flipped it open and saw the first photo, her wrapped around Evan outside that hotel, I saw something flicker across her face. Not guilt, not shame, something closer to irritation. "Where'd you get these?" she said coldly, like I was the one out of line. "Does it matter?" She shut the folder. "Jason, it's not what it looks like." I laughed. A short, sharp thing that echoed off the walls. "Not what it looks like. Rachel, you're kissing him. In multiple cities. You're in lingerie in some of these. He's texting you about last night. You want to tell me what that looks like?" She rolled her eyes. She rolled her fing eyes. "You had someone follow me?" she snapped. "That's insane. Do you know how controlling that is?" Couldn't believe it. She wasn't denying it. She was trying to flip it. "No," I said, slowly, my voice tight. "What's insane is cheating on your husband for God knows how long and then trying to act like I'm the problem for finding out." Rachel crossed her arms. "You don't get it. You've been distant, boring. All you do is work. You don't even look at me like you used to." My fists clenched on the table. "So your solution was to jump into bed with some guy who sends you fire emojis and books you hotel suites?" She scoffed. "At least he makes me feel wanted." That one hit like a punch to the throat. Not because of what she said, but how easily she said it. No regret. No pain. Just disgust. Like I was the one who owed her something. I stood up, looked her straight in the eye. "I would have given you the world, Rachel. I did everything to make you feel safe, loved. I was building something real with you, and you treated it like a vacation you got bored of." She looked away. No apology. No softness. Just silence. Finally, she said, "So what now? You want a divorce?" I didn't answer. Not yet. I wasn't ready to say it. Because the truth is, that night I still loved her. But something had broken. Something that couldn't be put back together, no matter how many lies she tried to patch it with. The next morning, the silence in the house was thicker than any argument we could have had. Rachel acted like nothing had happened. She was making coffee, scrolling through her phone, humming again, like we didn't rip the roof off our marriage the night before. I stood by the window, hands in my pockets, watching the sun rise like it could give me an answer I hadn't already found. Inside, I was in pieces. I'd always imagined heartbreak as loud, like yelling, throwing things, breaking furniture. But no, it's quiet. A slow, aching death of something sacred. You sit there, realizing the person you loved never actually existed the way you thought they did. You weren't in a marriage, you were in a show. And you were the only one who believed in the script. I kept replaying the things Rachel said. "You don't even look at me like you used to. At least he makes me feel wanted." Like I was some dry branch she outgrew. And still, as messed up as it sounds, part of me wanted her to break down, to cry, to say she made a mistake, that she'd do anything to fix it. But she didn't. She just carried on like cheating was a bad habit she picked up and I was supposed to deal with it. Later that day, I went for a drive. No destination, just asphalt and thoughts. I ended up parked outside the first apartment Rachel and I ever shared. It was tiny, barely big enough for two people and a couch, but we used to laugh there like nothing else mattered. We built dreams in that space. Late-night takeout, shared playlists, movie marathons under a thin blanket. Felt like a different lifetime, like a version of her that died and never came back. I sat there for maybe an hour, just feeling it. The betrayal, the humiliation, the grief. You don't just mourn the relationship. You mourn the version of you that believed in it. When I came back home, Rachel was packing a bag. "I'm going to stay at my sister's for a few days," she said flatly, not meeting my eyes. I nodded. No protest. No begging. Let her go. "Take your time," I replied. Figure out if you're going to come back as a wife or a stranger. She froze for a second, then kept packing. As she left, a strange thing happened. I didn't feel shattered anymore. I felt light, like a weight had slid off my chest. The worst part was already behind me. The lie exposed, the truth spoken, the mask ripped off. I poured myself a drink, turned off my phone, and sat on the porch until the sun dipped below the trees. And that night, for the first time in weeks, I slept. Not because everything was okay, but because I finally stopped pretending it was. The grief would come again. In waves, in echoes, in memories that ambush you in grocery stores or empty pillows. But in that moment, I understood something vital. The pain wasn't killing me. It was clearing space for something better. 3 days after Rachel left, the house got quieter. Not peaceful quiet, hollow quiet, the kind that echoes. Her perfume still lingered on the pillows. Her toothbrush was still in the bathroom. But her presence, that constant energy, good or bad, was gone. I didn't rush to call her. I didn't check her social media. I didn't ask mutual friends if they'd seen her. I was done chasing a woman who ran the moment things got real. But something unexpected happened on day 4. Jessica called. Yeah, Jessica, my ex-wife, the one who left me for Brandon the wallet. The same one who smirked at that party, trying to humiliate me in front of a room full of people. Hey, she said. Her voice was different, softer. I didn't answer right away. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, she continued. But I heard what happened. Rachel told my sister she moved out. My jaw clenched. So now my wife's cheating was gossip among the sisters? Perfect. What do you want, Jess? I asked, flatly. She sighed. Listen. I'm not calling to stir us. I just wanted to say, I get it now, what it's like. To be the one who gave everything and still wasn't enough. I didn't say a word. Let her talk. Brandon, she said. He's been sleeping with his assistant. For over a year. There it was. The twist no one asked for. And I kept thinking about that night at the party, she continued, her voice cracking slightly. When I saw Rachel walk in and realized you'd moved on. Not just to anyone, but to her. I hated it. But now I think maybe I hated it because I knew deep down you were the one who actually meant it. Who actually loved. I closed my eyes, gripping the phone tighter. Anyway, she said, I'm sorry for how I left, for how I treated you. I wanted to feel something, some sick satisfaction, some poetic justice. But I didn't. All I felt was tired. Thanks, I said. Take care, Jessica. And I hung up. That call shook me more than I expected. Not because I missed her, I didn't, but because it reminded me how easily people throw away what's real, chasing what looks better in pictures, and how karma has a twisted way of looping things back around. Later that evening, I got a message from Rachel. Just one line. Can we talk? I stared at it for a long time. I didn't reply right away. I wanted to feel something first. Anger, longing, maybe hope. But I felt nothing. I wasn't the same man who cried in the car while holding photos of his wife with another man. I wasn't the guy staring out windows waiting for apologies that never came. I had been burned, scorched even, but I'd also survived. When I finally texted her back, I didn't say yes. I said, we can talk, but only if you're coming with honesty, not damage control. Her reply came instantly. Understood. The next day, we met at a park halfway between her sister's place and ours. She wore sunglasses, tight lips, nervous hands. She sat on the bench like it was a witness stand. I'm not going to lie to you, she said. I messed up. I justified things to myself that I knew were wrong. I blamed you when I should have looked at myself. And I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I stayed silent. I didn't expect to fall for him. It just happened. But I never stopped loving you. That last line didn't hit the way she thought it would. You don't cheat on someone you still love, I said. You cheat because you love yourself more. She looked down, for the first time truly ashamed. I didn't know yet what I was going to decide. But I knew one thing for sure. This was no longer about her choices. It was about mine. That conversation at the park left a strange aftertaste. It wasn't closure. It wasn't reconciliation. It was a pause in a war. Both of us standing among emotional wreckage, unsure if we should rebuild or walk away and leave it buried. Rachel messaged a few times over the next couple of days. Not clingy. Not dramatic. Just gentle nudges. A meme here. A thinking about you there. Old Rachel would have tried to spin the situation to manipulate. But now it seemed like even she didn't know how to act. Maybe for the first time she was seeing herself clearly. But me? I was stuck in a different storm. See, when someone betrays you, really betrays you, it isn't just about the act. It's about the undoing. Every memory, every inside joke, every quiet night watching dumb TV together becomes suspect. The foundation cracks. And you realize, holy hell, how much of my life was a lie? I talked to Marcus again, the PI. Not about more dirt, but just advice. The guy had seen a lot. Divorces, stalkers, fraud, revenge spirals, you name it. What would you do? I asked him one night over bourbon. If your wife did what Rachel did? He didn't blink. I'd leave, he said flatly. Not because people can't change, but because people rarely do when they don't suffer the cost of their choices. That line hit hard. Cost. Rachel hadn't paid any cost yet. I was the one with the sleepless nights. The betrayal gut punched into my chest. She got a break from the marriage and time to feel missed. But deep down, a piece of me still wanted to believe she could be the woman I thought I married. And that piece of me was losing its voice fast. The final straw came 2 nights later. I was cleaning out the guest room, the one Rachel had been using more and more in those final weeks, when I found a receipt. Folded in a book of all places. A lingerie boutique. Pricey. Dated 2 days before that business trip to Chicago. The same one where Evan had sent that disgusting message. I just stared at it. It wasn't about the receipt. I already knew. But it was the hiding. The lie beneath the lie. The proof that even in the last moments, she was planning the betrayal down to the detail, new lingerie for him, while I was at home wondering if she wanted Thai or Italian for dinner. I sat on the edge of the bed and made my decision. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want closure. I wanted freedom. So I called her. Hey! She answered quickly, like she'd been waiting for it. I've made up my mind, I said, calm, measured. Okay. I'm done. Silence. I'm not doing the dance anymore, I continued. Not the fake healing, not the let's take it slow routine. You lied, Rachel. Repeatedly. You broke something that can't be fixed. I know, she whispered. But can't we try? No, I said simply. I'm not going to bleed out so you can feel better about the mess you made. There was a long pause. Then she said, I understand. That was it. No breakdown. No screaming. Just a quiet end. I hung up. The next morning I called a lawyer. Set the wheels in motion. I was calm. Focused. I'd mourned what we had. I'd faced the fire. Now it was time to walk through the ashes. People always say divorce is the death of love. They're wrong. It's the rebirth of self-respect. Divorce isn't one big dramatic explosion like the movies make it seem. It's more like death by 1,000 paper cuts. Paperwork. Property division. Signatures. Voicemails from lawyers. The sharp sting of your name getting unstitched from someone else's on legal documents. Rachel and I barely spoke during the process. It was all through attorneys or cold, polite text messages that sounded like strangers managing a broken lease. No fighting, no begging, just sterile, transactional silence. That somehow made it worse. I moved out first. Not because I had to, but because I couldn't breathe in that house anymore. Every drawer held a memory. Every wall whispered something I didn't want to remember. The ghost of our life together lived in the paint, and I needed space to stop being haunted. I rented a small loft downtown. Exposed brick, floor-to-ceiling windows. Empty, echoey, and clean, like a blank page. It didn't feel like home, but it felt like mine. And for the first time in months, I woke up without the dull weight of betrayal pressing on my chest. The first few weeks were weird. I'd reach out in bed, expecting her there. I'd hear a noise and think, that must be Rachel coming in from the gym. Habits linger long after the person is gone. And then came the loneliness. Not the kind where you just miss company, the kind where you question everything about yourself. Was I not enough? Did I miss signs? Was I blind? You start second-guessing your instincts, wondering if you ever really knew the person sleeping beside you. The worst was the quiet moments. Brushing my teeth, making coffee, sitting in traffic. That's when it hit. The grief, the confusion, the damn emptiness. Not because I missed her, but because I missed the version of me who hadn't been betrayed yet. But pain, if you let it, becomes a sculptor. I started hitting the gym again. Not for revenge, not to glow up for Instagram, but because I needed somewhere to pour the rage. I ran until my lungs begged me to stop. I lifted until my muscles screamed. It didn't fix the heartbreak, but it made the silence easier to live with. I reconnected with people I'd lost touch with. Old college buddies. My cousin Mark, who always told me Rachel seemed too calculated. Funny how the people we ignore during love's high tide turn out to be the only ones still standing after the storm. One night, about a month into the separation, I ran into Jessica again. At a bar of all places. She was alone. I was alone. We sat 2 stools apart. No tension. Just 2 people who'd both been burned by different fires. You look different, she said. I smiled. So do you. We didn't flirt. We didn't reminisce. We just talked. And weirdly, it felt like closure. Not just for us, but for the parts of ourselves we left behind when our lives collided years ago. 2 people who'd outgrown who they once were and finally admitted it. By the time the divorce papers came through, I didn't feel relief or sadness. I felt ready. Ready to live life without looking over my shoulder. Ready to stop apologizing for someone else's betrayal. Ready to stop carrying the blame for a wreck I didn't cause. Rachel sent one final message after everything was finalized. I hope one day you forgive me. Truly. You were the best man I ever had. I didn't respond. Not because I hated her. Because I didn't owe her anything anymore. And that silence, that peace, was louder than any words she could have said. It's been 8 months since the divorce was finalized. Long enough for the dust to settle, but not so long that the scars have faded completely. Scars don't always vanish. Some stay with you, not to haunt, but to remind. These days, my mornings are quiet. Not the kind of quiet that used to make me feel alone. This one's different. It's peaceful. It's honest. There's no pretending anymore. No forced smiles over coffee. No wondering what's really going on behind the other person's eyes. Just me, my space, and the truth. I've learned a lot. More than I ever wanted to. Betrayal teaches you things no book or podcast or best friend ever could. It strips you down, burns your illusions to ash, and dares you to stand back up. And I did. But not as the same man. The man I used to be? He thought loyalty was enough. That if you loved hard, worked hard, and gave someone everything, they'd never hurt you. He believed people would meet him at the same level he showed up for them. That love was a straight line from good intentions to happy endings. I envy that man sometimes. For his hope, for his heart. But I don't want to be him again. I want to be this man. The one who knows how to set boundaries. The one who no longer confuses chaos with passion. The one who understands that love without respect is just emotional theater. I don't hate Rachel. Let me repeat that. I don't hate her. I did for a while. I hated the lies, the way she made me question myself, the humiliation of realizing I'd built a home with someone who was living a double life. But eventually, hate burns itself out, especially when you refuse to feed it. Now I just feel gratitude, not for what she did, but for what it taught me. Rachel taught me that you can't love someone out of their own damage. She taught me that gut instinct is rarely wrong, and that ignoring it doesn't make you noble, just blind. And most of all, she taught me that healing doesn't come from getting revenge or winning the breakup. Healing comes from learning to let go. To anyone reading this, anyone who's been lied to, cheated on, left in the dark while someone they loved lit fireworks with someone else, here's what I'll say. You're not crazy. You're not weak. You're not broken. You're just bruised. And bruises fade. If you're still with them and trying to rebuild, make sure you're not just rebuilding their comfort while sacrificing your dignity. Trust is like glass. Maybe it can be pieced back together, but it'll never look the same again. And that's okay. Some things are meant to stay broken. And if you're alone, don't rush to fill the space. Sit with it. Own it. Let the emptiness become freedom, not fear. Because the day will come, I promise, when you'll wake up and not think about them first. When their name won't bring bitterness, just distance. When you'll look in the mirror and finally see someone worth choosing again. Not someone trying to be enough for them. Someone who's finally enough for themselves. That day, that's the real comeback. And you won't need fireworks to announce it. Just a quiet smile that says, I survived. And that's more than enough. Jason,